Hello, everybody, and welcome to Author in the Spotlight, which is your chance to meet the authors in our upcoming book all about grief. Today, we are joined by Lou. Hello, Lou. How are you?
Hi there, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to hand straight over to you and just ask you to give us an introduction to you, who you are, what you enjoy, that sort of thing.
Well, I'm Lou. I'm mum to three children, Will, Charlie, and Matilda. I have a dog, Rosie, the Cavapoo. And what do I enjoy? We've just actually come back from a little getaway, just the four of us. Together, we disconnected from screens and phones and we connected as a family, and it was so lovely. And getting outdoors, walking, and just spending that time together. So that's what I find are the most precious times for me now. That's what I really love.
Lovely. Oh, I do hope you had a lovely time. It sounds like it.
You did, thank you.
So, just wondering, if you just want to tell the people watching what it was that made you want to get involved in this particular book.
Um, Writing a book's something that I've had at the back of my mind for a while. It's not something that I've ever really sort of seriously considered, if I'm honest. So everyone's got a book in them, don't they? And I've never quite known what I would write about. When I saw this opportunity, it felt like a really it felt very timely, and it felt that talking about grief is something that I'm really passionate about, and I wanted to be part of something bigger to help get grief out there and get grief out into the open. So it felt like a really good starting point for me to offer up a chapter and collaborate with all of the other amazing people, and to start to get this conversation out into the open, which I'm very much passionate about what you know that needing to happen.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And it is, I've sort of said before that it's bizarre how grief happens to everybody. It's unfortunately it is something um that is going to happen. Oh, we've just got a tech issue. I'm sure she'll be back. There she is. Um, I was just saying it's bizarre, isn't it? How grief happens to everybody. Unfortunately, it is one of those things that you can't get away from, yet it's not really spoken about in a way to
No.
help. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this book, was to bring it to the forefront so as people knew that they weren't alone, and that there are other people around. And how did you find the writing process for this?
Both incredibly tough and quite cathartic as well. Actually writing it, I've told my story many times, but I haven't told it in the level of detail, and probably with the level of sort of more personal. It was very it's very personal to me. It's obviously it's my story. So that part of it, and actually getting it out, obviously it's in my head, it's in my heart, but actually seeing it in black and white on the page suddenly made it seem very real. So that part was very difficult and challenging. But coming through the other side, I actually found that it was quite cathartic and quite healing in a way. And actually sharing my story, even just sort of, onto getting it out onto the page was quite I suppose therapeutic in a way. So it has really helped, I think. It has really helped. And I'm really pleased with it, and I think people are really pleased with it too.
It's a very powerful chapter, and I'm glad that you found some healing through that. I think sometimes writing can be underestimated, and you hear it, it's like, oh, we'll do some writing, and you're like, yeah, yeah, okay. But it sort of gives you that sense of maybe allowing yourself a bit of compassion when you
Mm,
see it down in front of you. It's like, actually, you know, this is massive, and I am allowed to work through and offer
yeah,
some compassion.
yeah, that's what I found. It was like seeing it there. I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's big. That really happened, and it didn't just happen to someone else. That feels very. I've done a very good job of sort of disassociating from all of that, and it made it very real, and it made it very very sort of hard hitting for me. And like you say, just being kind to myself and seeing it through the lens of compassion rather than yeah, just this thing that happened that I've just got to kind of get on with and carry on, made it very, yeah, I kind of was like, yeah, okay, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all
Yes.
right.
Yes, you most definitely are. And so do you want to share a little bit about what your chapter covers in the book?
Yeah, so my chapter is about the sudden death of my husband, who died in 2022 from a very rare form of bacterial meningitis. It's my story of that sort of, well, our it's kind of our love story, and also the fact that the love that we have for each other is still here today, even though he's not physically here anymore. And the reason I wanted to write it in that way was because I want to not only encourage other widows or other people that have lost a spouse or a partner, but I wanted to let people know that even when the worst possible imaginable thing happens to you, you can still carry on, and that however hard that is and however hard that feels, that you can find ways to bring them with you on this journey. And that doesn't mean that you're leaving them behind. It doesn't mean that you're forgetting about them. It means that they're with you just in a different way. And that you can use the pain, use the sorrow, use all of those feelings and emotions to be a catalyst sometimes for something else, something that you maybe wouldn't have done had you not been through this. Because grief fundamentally and irrevocably changes you, doesn't it? You're not the same person that you were before. And I just wanted to sort of share my version of that with people in the hope that they might take that and see that, and it might inspire them a little bit to do something similar.
Yeah, it's amazing. And as I said, it's a very powerful chapter. So I would encourage that they all are. So I would encourage, reading the book. And it is about, I feel, it can feel very isolating. It can feel very lonely. And you don't know if you're doing grief right because there's so many things that are told. And it's about just acknowledging that it's your story, it's your
Mm,
grief, and you will
yeah.
deal with it how it best for you. And as a result of what happened to you, you actually did make quite a big transition, didn't you, in business wise?
Yeah, I did. I wanted to. I was coaching already. I'd already left the corporate world and was career coaching. When I did go back to work after my husband had died, it just didn't feel as fulfilling anymore. And there's just something in me that I kind of felt, and it started off as a whisper and kept getting louder and louder. That if if this really dreadful, painful thing has to have happened to me, I'm the kind of person that has to sort of go, well, how can I help others with this? How can I use my own lived experience and all of my other, work experience to put this into a place or a tool that I can then go out and help other people? So yeah, it was very much a catalyst for me to pivot my business. I retrained as a grief edu-therapist. And I've now sort of relaunched my coaching business as both helping individuals with one-to-one grief support, helping them navigate through it using the same process that I have, but also going into businesses and helping them become more grief literate, because I was fortunate enough I didn't have to go back into the corporate world after my husband had passed away. But if I had, I don't think people would have known what to say to me. I don't think people would have known how best to support me. And the stories that I've heard since, one in four of the UK adult working population will experience a bereavement in a 12-month period. That's a huge amount, as you've just said, Cassie. It's not, we can't escape this. This is something that we're not, it's not going away. And I just want to really make sure that those people are supported in the right way, that people know what to say to them, what not to say to them, how to give them more compassion, and how to do that more confidently rather than those awkward conversations that I'm sure you've had. I know I've definitely had. And so taking it out there and reaching more people, so that to bring grief out into the open and to have those conversations and make it less awkward for people.
And that's amazing. And I love, again, how you've turned something that's so awful and so tragic into something that you can try and use to help others. And I'm very much, that's why I do these books, that's why I do the summit. If I don't see, if we've been through something awful, and it's almost like it's almost like our job to then share, so as we can help those around us, rather than keeping it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's just looking at what we can do. So it's
Yeah, definitely.
amazing that you
Like,
do
because like you
that.
say, it's isolating. Yeah, it's taking it and saying to people, you're not on your own. You don't have to go through this on your own. Let's talk about it. Let's have these conversations, and let's support one another through this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, 100%. And if people relate to your chapter, and also, if they wanted to reach out for you in terms of support, your Linktree link will be with this interview when it goes out. But is there a place that you tend to be more than others? Like, a lot of us use social media. So are you on one platform more than the others for these
Definitely more
situations?
LinkedIn. Yeah, you can find me on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I'm hang about there all the time. Yeah.
Amazing. So if you want to connect with Lou, then check out the Linktree link, or head over to LinkedIn. Nearly said Linktree again then, and you'll be able to connect with her there. Thank you so much for your time today, Lou. It's been really lovely speaking to you. Just before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted to add that we haven't covered, or do you think we're all good?
No, I don't think so. I think for me, I think there's a dual responsibility in society. I think there's a responsibility on us as grieving people to be more open with our grief and share where we're at today, this week, in this moment. Because if we're not, how can we then expect others to support us if we keep our grief hidden? And then on the other side of that coin is there's a huge responsibility for society just to get better. And if I could give anyone listening to this or watching this one piece of advice, it's please don't ignore it. Please don't pretend it hasn't happened. Please don't put it in a box. Grief needs acknowledging, and that is just one thing to do or to not do. It's to just acknowledge it, and its presence. That's all you need to do. That's all the grieving person wants.
But yeah, very, very good words of wisdom there to end the interview today. So thank you again so much for joining us today, Lou. It's been really lovely speaking to you. And please do join us again very soon for another Author in the Spotlight. But for today, we will say goodbye. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.